All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Ouran High School Host Club, episode 20.
Last week we had
Lobelia.
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 Indeed. It was Lobelia.
Lobelia, bitch.
Yeah.
Nice.
Basically, Haruhi got kidnapped by the Brunch Bitch Brigade, and except it was an actual kidnapping,
Right.
that she did not agree to. And
she just kind of was like, I guess this is what's happening. All right.
Okay.
Let them do their ridiculous thing, and I'll eventually just, be able to leave.
And,
but, but of course, Haruhi's father.
Right. Was deathly worried.
And her daddy, were both worried. I mean, they were quite worried. And of course, had to rescue her.
Right. And then they realized she didn't need rescuing. And in fact, she was actually interested in performing in this play that they did.
Even though she can't sing.
Can't act.
Can't act.
Yeah.
Frederic-sama!
Frederic-sama!
Anytime I see now that overly tread upon trope in a new movie like I haven't seen yet, I'm gonna say to the screen, Frederic-sama! And I'm gonna see if there's even a little bit of a hint of disappointment in the actress's face as she's
Well, that's the thing. It's cleverly concealed a lot of the time. But now we're on to episode 20, which will be new territory, new story.
True. And given that Lobelia was something that was brought up from before, but now kind of visited, there could be things from the past that are brought up that are revisited.
It's possible.
Yes, yes,
I don't know what it would be, though, because Lobelia
holding out for Tamaki.
Yeah, I'm holding out for Tamaki as well.
His family.
Maybe Renga. I don't know.
Well,
probably not.
If Tamaki is the focus in general, I feel like Renga must be nearby.
Oh, wait, yeah, no, what am I talking about? Originally I was thinking it'd be like a Girls' Day Out thing that we'd get at some point.
You want deep lore for Renga.
No, but Haruhi would never willingly hang out with Renga.
Oh, well, Renga doesn't hang out willingly with anyone.
That's true.
She is a being of meta.
She has her monkey throw the banana peels, and then she just appears and
bold of you to assume there's just one monkey.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
There were quite a few banana peels thrown last episode at the play.
Right.
Yeah.
And her power does have no limits. It stretches across all of Japan.
That's right. It's the whole Musk-chan's tunnel network. It's just for that platform.
She bores her way into everything, but she is not boring. So,
no, not at all.
Y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. The snow. Wait, the twins? Their backstory?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I like it.
So a follow-up of that. It's a direct continuation.
手紙読んだよ。光くん。いや悪いけど僕、薫の方。
Wow.
僕と光の机間違えて手紙入れたでしょ。僕じゃダメかな。実は僕、君のことずっと可愛いって思ってたんだ。
Oh.
光は他に好きな子がいるみたいだし。
Dang.
ね。
This is a test.
Yeah.
私も薫くんさえ良ければ。
Yeah.
Don't see them as different.
おい薫。
Yeah.
この子、お前でもいいってさ。
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
ひどいのはそっちでしょ。
I mean...
どっちでもいいなんて君何様なわけ。
And you didn't even recognize me.
その髪型似合ってないよ。
Tamaki watching.
センス磨いて。
Wow.
次はもっと面白い告白してね。
Oh!
Oh,
wow.
shit.
Yeah, they are little
Yeah.
devils.
Yeah. Because they're actively trying to make it difficult for anybody who would want to get close to them.
Right.
もう飽きたよ。弱い奴らばっかでさ。つまんねえじゃん。
そうだね。もういいか。
I have a story to share in the discussion
さっ
now.
さと消去。それが僕らのも。
Yep.
の双子っておっかないよな。でも父が仲良くしておけって。うちもさ。
Oh.
Wow. Oh.
自分たち以外は誰も好きになったことないんだろうな。
おばさんはカエルにそっくりだけどね。ほら。
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
They are a little
Yeah, but this is the unfortunate thing is they're in some ways getting the
revenge, sort of, or
well, right, but yeah,
それまでのご機嫌
it's
取り
the
は愛想笑いの奴らとは少し違ったから。
二人とも静かにしてもらう。
oh shit!
このスイッチを押すと警備員が駆けつけるんだって。押してみよう。
Ah!
2
ちょやめて。
その金庫の番号だよ。僕らと遊んでくれたら
Oh
この紙あげてもいい
wow!
んだけど。
Damn! That's how desperately
どっ
they
ちが
want
光く
someone
んで
to
しょうか
just
ゲーム。
know
Yep.
them as individuals.
Yep, exactly. And it's a form of trauma in a lot of ways that they don't have individuality.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, their environment keeps reinforcing that. Yep.
Right.
You're kids. You're not super smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was planning on getting in without the combination.
Or she just watched and listened to you talk to yourselves saying,
約束破ったな。
しょうがないでしょ。私にはあんたらを見分けることなんてできない。
Oh, but she's being honest about the fact that she can't
もしか
tell.
したらあんたらを本当に見分けるやつなんて一生現れないかもね。
僕らが唯一気に入っていた世話係のお姉さんはそう言い残して夜の闇に消え
oh,
た。
whoa.
Okay.
僕らは着実にねじれて成長していった。
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she's an adult. She just, you know, followed them and watched them be like, I put it in this thing, you know?
Right.
そのバリアに気づかないほど鈍いやつがごくたまに近づいてきたりする。
君たち暇そうだね。暇ならばな。
Yes! So dense!
あげよう。
Uh-huh.
He's like a black hole! He sucks all of you in!
クラスの女の子が騒いでるだろ。
そうかそうか。そんなにも俺は有名か。なんて罪深い俺。内面からも滲み出る輝きは誰の目にも止まってしまうのか。
Oh my
Everyone, even you.
god.
これが神に見られてしまった男の定めだというのか。
Holy shit.
そんなこと言ってないけど。
いやしかし
あ
安心したまえ。
yeah.
俺には及ばんかもしれんが、君たちもなかなか見どころがあるぞ。楽しいぞ。他には俺のクラスの大鳥京也
Oh. That's hilarious.
それから
Did you see that?
高等部一年
This
の
Dazai Otsuma from Bungo.
Oh wow.
僕らは誰とも
That's
つる
really
まない。
funny, also.
あんたなんかに興味
They
ない
have
の。
4 members.
どうしても僕らとお近づきになりたいんだったら
挑戦する？どっちが光くんでしょうかゲーム。
いいだろう。その代わり俺が勝ったらうちの
Yeah,
部に
and
入って
remain
も
in
らう。
my club.
だが俺は予言するぞ。4月にお前たちは高等部第三音楽室の扉をきっと開く。
Ah!
Okay.
Beautiful.
今本を読んでいるのが光る。
なんすか人のクラスにまで来て。
当たりか？当たったのか？
いや当たってないし。
映画鑑賞会か。いいね。光と薫も出席。まるっと。
勝手に決めんな。
Wow.
おい、どこへ行くのだ？
帰る。あんたうるさいし。
ゲームはどうするのだ？
だから言ってるじゃん。せいぜい頑張って。
Hmm.
Yeah, it's literally no longer human.
Right,
too.
right.
Wow,
That's great.
that's amazing.
見分けてほしいなら髪型変えるなりすればいいのに。
見分けてほしくないんだろ。
でも見分けろっていうゲームだぞ。
じゃあ見分けてほしいんだろ。
お前ちゃんと話聞いてる？
半分ぐらいな。
Nice. Oh, this is bringing up so many good things to discuss, and
Yeah.
yet it's happening so quickly. I have to wait till the discussion to bring it up.
昨べ思いついたんだがな。君たちは兄弟愛を売りにしたらどうだろう。
は
ちょっと危ないシンメトリー兄弟愛。日立ブラザーズ。これでどうだ？
意味わかんない。
Yeah, I don't know if has he even told them what kind of club
No,
it's gonna
no,
be.
not yet. No.
なんであんな王子顔なのにあの口調なんだよ。
待ていって言ってた。待ていって。
そのうちござるとか言い出しそうじゃない？
バカだ。バカ殿だ。
Wait, do we like this guy?
でもさ、
そろそろ
Oh, no.
飽きたよね。
because they're starting to enjoy him.
Gotcha.
See,
Yeah,
they're having fun with him. Yeah,
Right,
so now they
right,
have to
right.
get rid of him.
あんたって理事長の本妻の子じゃないんだってね。
Illegitimate.
ごめんね。ちょっと調べちゃってさ。
Oh.
いや結構かわいそうな生い立ちなんだね。このこと
That changes
学校の奴らに言い
things.
ふらされたくないっしょ。
しかも実の母親は今もいる。
Oh shit.
Oh
あんた
shit.
は結局一人で寂しいだけなんだろ。
だからって
Oh my
勝手に
god.
僕らを仲間にしないでくれる？
行こう、ヒカル。
の、
And they also even just said like, I'm Hikaru, you're Karu,
Yeah.
you know.
もうがっかりさせられんのはごめんだしね。
Right. And you were actually starting to
僕ら
think
は
that he
常
might
に
figure
矛
it
盾
out.
している。
Yeah.
二人を見分けてほしい。見分けてほしくない。僕らのことを知ってほしい。知ってほしくない。
Wow. Do you see that? One set of footprints.
Yep.
Yep.
ずっと二人きりの世界の中で傷つかないで済むように。とてもとても頑丈な鍵をかけている。
Yep.
Having a fun time in there?
来たよ。
おいヒカル。
So now we're
こ
back
の
at
子、
the
お
beginning.
前でもいいってさ。
Damn.
どっちでもいいっていうのはさ。
本当はどっちもいらないってことじゃん。
ひどいひどいよ
Or wait, no, this is a completely different girl.
今手紙を破こうとしているのが光る。
Oh.
なんで？
当たりか？当たったのか？
Oh.
勘だ。
最初に当てずっぽうは
No
ダメ
random
って言った
guessing.
はずだけど。
いやすまんな。今んとこ俺には無理だ。だってそっくりすぎるぞお前ら。けどまあ物は考えようだ。そこま
Sure.
でそっくりなのはもはや才能だ。
You're intentionally trying to look,
二人で一人のヒタチン
you
ブラ
know,
ザーズ
similar
を
as
極めていけ
possible.
けどもちろんお
Ah,
前
the
らが
clouds part.
別個の存在であることを忘れち
Yeah.
ゃうか。
Okay.
The sun
だか
comes
ら俺も
out.
頑張って二人を見分けられるように努力するから。
そんなの変だよ。
矛盾してるよ。
何言ってんだよ。
Do you know me?
矛盾しててもそれがお前らだろうが個性って言うんだよそういうのは。
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Might not recognize
あん
it.
たの言う通りにヒタチンブラザーズなんてスタイル始めたら、それこそ僕ら永遠にセット売りだ。
どっちがヒカルくんでしょうかゲームを当てられるやつなんて言いやしないんだ。そんなの最初から分かってるんだ。
だったら外した時なんでいっつも寂しそうな顔をする。
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
ごめんなさい泣かないでね
その言葉を聞いて僕は驚いたのを覚えている。
Oh.
多分僕らはその時泣き出しそうな顔をしていたのだろう。
Wow.
たとえ俺には無理だとしてもいつかどこかでお前たちを見分けてくれる人
Yes.
が現れるかもしれない。
She shall.
Uh-huh.
She's not gonna get lured in by your bullshit. Just be
きっ
like,
とこれからも
Right.
二人きりの世
He caught
界
it.
にいたら永遠にお前たちを見分けられる人たちに
Oh,
会えない。
that's true.
yeah.
That's true.
なら一緒にポスト部の扉を開こうじゃないか。
You son of a bitch. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
見事に大正解を言ってのけた殿に僕らは不覚にもちょっとだけ
Moved.
ほんのちょっとだけ感動してしまった。
don't ever tell him that.
Nah, we don't need to. He thinks they're all impressed by him every day.
たかしもスオ君に誘われたんだ
Oh. Yeah. I
Yeah, how
can
did that
predict
happen?
exactly what he's gonna
好き
say.
でもいいんだってケーキ好きでもいいんだって
Oh.
僕どうしようかな
Oh.
光国の
Oh.
思う通りにすればいい
Indeed.
そうだね
Indeed.
I love how close to the mic he feels, like when he
Right.
delivers
He's
his
like,
lines. Like he's
"Scooty."
whispering in your ear.
You can do whatever you want. And his prediction came true!
あのおバカな殿の言うことに感動したわけじゃないぞ。
Yes, that fool
Definitely
lord.
not.
分かってるよ。暇つぶしだ。
そう、そうとも暇つぶしさ。
Yes. We will not enjoy this at all.
そうだよお姉さん。僕らを見分けられるやつなんてこの世界にはいない。
God, I love that effect. Of course, they
Yeah.
had to show it again.
それ
It's
は
so
分かって
cool.
る。
Uh-huh.
けど
Nice.
せーの。そして僕たちは
Yeah.
その扉を開けた。
Awesome.
Oh, perfect. Like in the beginning of the episodes. Oh, that's really cool. This episode was genius.
It was.
This was one of the best episodes we've seen thus far.
Like,
oh my god.
I was surprised at how little comedy there was. Like, because, what can I say? This show really doesn't hold back with the comedy.
No. But there were so many like little genius things that they did that are almost incumbent upon you having, like, a lot of this show is episodic, right? But this is one where, not only because of the backstory, but because of the way they set up, like the way they presented the story, you really needed to watch everything, like, up until now, so that you were kind of set up for what a typical Ouran High School Host Club episode was like,
Right.
But there were so many little things, and it's not really that they were like that, subtle or like, what have you at times.
Sure, yeah.
But it was the number of different ways that they kind of described the theme of the episode. Okay. All right. This is one of my favorite episodes thus far. We basically got the
really, really good,
super in-depth episode on the twins. Yep. And we're kind of in some ways then finishing a lot of the undisclosed story that they've had up until now by giving it through the backstory perspective of, okay, these twins, these boys, wanted to be recognized as individuals.
But they didn't want it to be easy.
Well, they didn't want it to be easy because the last time it came really close to that with the little girl,
they got hurt.
They got hurt for some reason, and they didn't understand the pain surrounding that. And this is a brilliant aspect of the episode because there's an aspect of them that they're little shits. Like,
absolutely.
They're little shits.
Yeah, that was strongly established.
It was very strongly established. But one of the things that's really, really fascinating about individuals is that they're usually defined by strong emotions that happen in their formative years that alter a lot of their growth.
And they don't even necessarily even remember those events happening.
Most of the time they do not, yeah. But there are some times where there are instances that are so powerful, so singular, that you never forget them. You never forget them. And we don't really, as people, I would say, recognize often how powerful, like as individuals, really. I don't know society's general thoughts on this because I'm not a psychologist, but we don't usually recognize how powerful those events are until we go back and relive them and think about them and dwell on them and
hindsight is
meditate on them.
20/20. See how it affected the rest of our lives.
Yeah, because you can, at the very least, usually trace back not necessarily the full like truth of the event itself, but you can probably get back to the feeling of what it was like, and and remember it and relive it. And they did not like that. They did not like that. They did not like that thing there. It came really close to being a moment of like, oh, she recognized us, but they were asked like, oh, please don't cry.
Right.
And oh my God, like the fact that even then at that age, they were already like, please, someone out there, anyone.
Yep.
Oh. And then we just get to see the full.
Because at that point, they weren't making it difficult for people, really.
No.
That, that's just sort of the, okay, we're really young and, when we're twins and stuff, so it'll be hard for people to tell us apart,
Yeah. Stuff like the aunt, being like, oh, I can't tell which one of the two of you is.
Right.
And then it's like, even you're wearing different color-coded costumes. And
then the idea that then the one maid that they met, that they liked.
Right, for arbitrary reasons.
Yeah, like... But we can assume that it's because of her interaction that she had with them.
Yeah, probably.
Which involved them, them catching her stealing from their family, right? Which just goes to show that, okay, now, granted, they're little kids, so they wouldn't necessarily understand, right? Or, really care or anything like that, right? But then she drops the doozy. I thought it was going to be that she plays with them, and she was one of the few people that could actually tell them apart or something like that. No, it's not that. She makes them super jaded. She's like, maybe you just need to understand that there's a good chance that no one will ever be able to tell you apart.
Yeah.
And as a result of that,
right,
they say that they liked that maid, but I think that was something that really hurt them. And then as a result of that, it's the, okay, but we can't truly let that hurt us.
Well, Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to keep challenging people to do it. But at the same time, in order to make sure we don't get disappointed, we're going to keep sabotaging them and making it really difficult because we don't ever want to actually hope that they might be able to tell us apart.
There's two crazy things about the maid's prediction here that are really cool when you frame it with the fact that Tamaki comes in, makes his own prediction, and does the game to the point where he ends up eventually accurately guessing. Now, he does guess through intuition and just instinct there, which is... something I have some thoughts surrounding there, because you could go really deep with this without a lot of evidence, because a lot of this is going to be based on intuition here. But one thing, the maid, we never see them actually interacting with her prior to her robbing from the family.
Nope.
We know that the family themselves does not have the capacity to tell the difference between the two of them because they say as much. The only people who can actually tell the difference between the two of them are them two.
Right.
They're the only two people in their world.
Because I'm me, and that makes you not me.
Right. But when you are individuals, and you are young kid individuals, one of the first things of identity that you have is your last name, your family.
Oh, okay.
This maid is intentionally harming their family. They find that hilarious.
Oh, yeah, they enjoy that.
They enjoy that.
Because, because one of the... One of the things that, like, you know, okay, let's say you have someone who has, for some reason, not able to connect well with, like, make friends or something like that, right, when they're a kid.
Yeah.
Well, they still have at least their family, right?
Right, they have each other. They are family.
And they have each other, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, they only have each other, right? It's like there's
No
the
family
whole cut the umbilical cord that has to happen when you grow up, where it's you realize that suddenly you have to. The opinions of people other than your parents exist, right? And you have to sort of fit into society and all that stuff, right? You know.
But they have no interactions with parents. They have no interactions with other family other than that one aunt in this entire episode. And I think that's very intentional.
Basically, just goes to show that it's kind of irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
The idea that for all of the host club, right? A thing that they probably had to deal with is that their parents were probably a bit more distant than most other families would be, because their parents would be a lot busier, right? They're more high status, important people, so they'd have a lot more things demanding their attention or whatever. Who knows, right? And maybe they'd be able to figure out a good balance for it. Maybe they wouldn't, but that'd be something that they'd have to actively work on. Triply so if you have a set of identical twins. And if the parents weren't in this episode, then that means.
No, that's
probably
it.
weren't around.
Yeah. So they see this maid actively harming the unit that should have been giving them individuality or more opportunities for individuality if they wanted it, which they did.
Yeah.
They did. There was a point where they did. And yet, probably because, it's cute, we're going to probably reinforce that. And if anything, I found it
give
to
them
be,
matching outfits and things like that, because you're identical twins. It's great. You
know? I found it to be a thing of where until we actually get actually past that point where they're kids and into junior high, most of their decisions probably aren't their decisions.
Nope, they're the decisions of the adults around them.
Exactly. So the outfits that they were put into might have been in some ways now we can tell the difference between the two of them. But there's almost a bit of a mocking sense of it. Now I'm cutting really deep here, but remember when the father said in the previous episode that if you were going to cross-dress in this regard, don't do it unless you're actually seriously doing it. In this case here, this almost feels like a little bit of that. In there's a bit of almost a mocking air to it, where it's we dressed them up. Look, aren't they so cute and stuff? And then we even made them like pink and blue, so that it's like, typical gender, also pink and blue. We can split them up. That's really cutting deep. But I think that this episode is filled with little moments where we're reinforcing two things. And the first thing I already went in with the maid was that the environment around them was not helping.
Right.
The second part is that the maid basically ends up saying from the world of adults, the ones that have basically attained individuality, that you all will not necessarily find a way out of this.
Sure.
that is extremely powerful to young kids, like very young kids, especially potentially emotionally stunted young kids like this, who haven't figured out even the slightest little bit of individuality at this point.
And it's also important that it comes from someone who's effectively a stranger to them. Because
oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Because there's like so if
even as they're young kids though?
Yeah, there's a so if you're a little kid, right?
Sure.
And you're let's say you're with your mom at the grocery store, right? And she says, "Don't pick up that can of corn." I don't know, right?
Okay.
That's something where it's like, okay, I guess mom doesn't want me to pick up this can of corn. If some random lady at the store or other person at the store says, "Don't pick up that can of corn,"
sure,
then you get the message of, people in general don't want me to do this. This is some kind of general rule that I'm supposed to follow.
I see that.
And the fact that someone who really didn't know them, right, a random maid basically told them this, it's like, oh, I guess that's how it is.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that, because one of the things that we only really know about her is this interaction. And until we get any more info on them, we can really only assume this is the only interaction, because
it's all that was shown.
When she gets, like, you know, she goes down the rope ladder.
Yeah, and we have the 3D of the mansion zooming up. And
like falling out into the abyss there. I loved that effect because it was a second thing. Well, not a second thing. Another kind of small thing that I wonder if this is why they can't undo both of these memories from their past. The young girl who probably properly identified Hikaru, because I'm not sure if she actually did.
They said she was wrong.
Okay, they said she was wrong.
But a lot of the times I can't tell if they're actually. I mean,
I can't tell if they
were
hurt
by that. But,
yeah, and I think that's another thing, is because we'd seen that event before in the other backstory thing from like way early on in the show, and I thought she had gotten it right. But either way, the other thing is that they were not able to push this person away. They dipped before they had an opportunity to basically sever any kind of connection there. And that's the kind of thing that made them feel powerful later on, was whenever a person got really close,
they get to push them away.
They get to have the opportunity to not just push them away, but to literally like sever any kind of connection there with their basically asshole tendencies.
Yeah. Find some way to to hit them where it hurts.
Right. They did it with both of the girls. In some ways, they did it more with the first one. But then the other one was Tamaki. They really, really researched him to find something that would hurt, like cut quick to the bone.
Right. Which is great, because then that goes to show that that's a way that he was able to prove to them that, sorry, that's not going to work. I choose to make that not work, right?
Yeah.
Because when it comes right down to it, I actually kind of care about you too.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm also deciding without your, you don't control me. I am not in your world.
I'll still try and figure you out whether you want me to or not.
Right. And in some ways, this is kind of my my favorite part about the whole meta of this, is we know that they get into the club, right?
Right.
So we know that Tamaki has to succeed.
Yes.
But from their perspective, they have been taught basically by the environment that if they do things this way, then the people will leave, and then they get to go back to their nice comfortable two-person world.
They don't have to have the hurt that they granted shield by making it as difficult as possible and setting the person up for failure and stuff, so that they don't ever expect the person to succeed and tell them apart. But the attempts still then are kept to a minimum.
Right, but this game is something that they play too, in the same way that Tamaki kind of gets this indignant, like, well then I'm gonna try extra hard now. I will play your game in a month, and I'm gonna make a prediction that's now going to counteract, theoretically, in some ways, the opposite of it, which is, I will figure this out in a month, and you will then, as a result of me having figured it out, knock on the musical door number 3 or whatever, which is the entrance to the host club eventually when they're in high school. It's him basically saying, the prediction that maid gave you all the way back then, even though I know nothing about it, will be proven wrong by me.
Right. I can tell that you have this view, this perspective, this idea in your head that no one will ever figure it out, and that's why you do it. I'm gonna beat that. And so one of the other things that I thought was really interesting here is that with this whole game that they have, right, and how cruel they get with it, right, like because originally, like, okay, when they do the thing with the girl, it's like, yes, this is a test to see if, like, and quite frankly, I get that when it comes to a love confession. If the person is actually saying, like, I have all these feelings for you and stuff, it's like, okay, well, do you actually know who I am then? Can you tell, right? And the fact that it was actually Hikaru and he said it wasn't, that's cruel.
That's just cruel. I think
but then on top of that, the fact that then he's like, oh yeah, you'd be okay if it was someone else, right? If it was my brother, right? Because you know, sorry, I don't, or my brother doesn't, have feelings for you in that way. But Kaoru, you could have him.
Yeah. There's multiple lies and deceptions and set up for the person to basically be set up to fail, and also they're like 12 or 13 at this point.
God.
So I have no excuses for the for the behavior of that.
Especially around that age, kids can just be absolutely awful.
Well, right, but also from the girl's perspective, she's coming in here and she's getting a half rejection. Whenever you liked a person at that age, there was a very real possibility that someone else found out that you liked that person before you told them.
Because you weren't exactly subtle.
No, you weren't subtle, but also then they told that person that you liked them, and you got rejected before you even had a chance to say anything.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a story I wanted to bring up, was that whenever you liked a person at that age, you didn't know, like, what do I do? And if you tell anyone about it, it will get to that person.
It absolutely will.
And then they end up either rejecting it or just kind of making light of it to the point where it just shatters your universe. If you then had that happen, but in the moment when you're alone, bringing the confession there, the other people have shown no vulnerability with regards to this. You've written a letter. They come up to you and then say, no, they have a girl that they already like, so you might as well just give up on them. But, I've found you to be really cute. Maybe you should, maybe you should go with me and stuff there.
And
now,
in some ways, yeah, exactly, because it's, that's
there's multiple layers of lies going on here.
Right, because
it's basically deciding to just take a person's heart and be like, I'm just going to poke needles in you.
Right.
Because it's
fun.
fun.
See how you squirm.
Yeah, I like to see how you squirm.
And then of course, the ripping up of the letter. And the fact that, so this is something that I wanted to bring up. The fact that the time that we see it again, that it's actually another time that this is happening, but at first, we can't really tell.
We first can't really tell, yeah.
Because
the girl looks almost the same.
The girl looks almost the same.
Yep.
They're treating her exactly the same. And they kind of montage through it.
Yep.
Because, well, we know this song and dance.
Yep.
Just like the twins do. The twins are doing the exact same thing to other people. To literally just everyone else in the world, basically.
Right.
That they hate that is done to themselves.
That they, what? Whoa, say that again?
So, the world can't tell them apart.
Right.
Right? As a result of that, when people approach them, they specifically make it so that they can't tell the other person apart. They treat them all the same. Who are you? I don't know. You probably have a name, but right now you're just another girl that's going to show up. Oh, you have a handwritten letter and everything. Right. You're going to confess your feelings. We have this down to a T.
Yeah.
All right, get in the assembly line because we're going to take you through a ride.
I'm just glad she left so quickly. Even if that was just montaged through because it was the exact same thing, and that's kind of the point, is that I'm just glad she didn't get to see the letter get torn up.
Yeah, exactly, because that's that. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Tamaki steps in.
Yeah, so Tamaki this episode. Tamaki was amazing.
Yep.
He was absolutely the fool king that kind of needed to blunder his way armyless into their environment.
That's right.
And take them both on. Because this is my favorite thing about Tamaki, is that he does not know how to quit. There's those characters that don't know when to quit, but Tamaki literally does not know how to.
Yeah.
Like, he is so dumb and just ridiculous that he comes in, has his ego immediately boosted for the silliest of things, riding cloud 9, probably in some ways because he's kind of choosing to do it this way.
Oh yeah, he's figured out how to pick up on the
hearts.
Well, win people's hearts and pick up on the things, whether intended or not, that will stoke his ego.
Right. And I think that there's something there with that, given that we had set up something about how he is actually the illegitimate child of the superintendent, like the head of the school there, which is interesting because then, weirdly enough, that was in junior high at the time, which means that the father then went to Ouran after that. Oh wait, no, hold on. Ouran, I think, has a junior high and a high school combined together.
I believe so, and that would explain why he specifically said music room number 3.
Right. So he knows exactly where it is and where it will be.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Never mind.
There's probably
this weird theory
There's
here.
probably like a whole separate wing, or campus or whatever that's still Ouran, but it's like this is the high school department for Ouran or something.
Yeah,
like that,
I think it's all one super estate kind of thing there.
Basically.
But okay, so throw that theory aside. That's okay. It never needs to see the light of day. But when he comes in as the hero coming in to basically rescue them from their hidden tower, as the princess in distress that they are in some ways, with the key to their heart locked away in this secret labyrinthian maze. It just kind of comes in and goes, "Oh, that's your stakes. That's what we need to do. Okay, I'll do it.
I know how mazes work. Hang a left, hang a left, hang a left, hang a left, hang a left.
Eventually,
rinse, repeat.
Yeah. Oh, you're giving me a month? Oh, that's plenty of time.
Yeah, I can do that.
I love that they tried to also quit the game before it was over.
Because they're like, you're getting too close.
Yep.
We're actually starting to hope that you succeed on this, so nope.
Yeah, and I love that Tamaki is used as the framework in this episode for this is the realization of all their development from children up until now, and we get to see it play out through Tamaki rather than it being just the ending highlight with the girl getting rejected, or the beginning with like, ooh, we're interested in the maid because she's different than everyone else or what have you. We get to see the full gamut of it. Yeah. And we see that point where they start to like him develop. They're laughing at the way he's such a fool, or he's so entertaining.
Right. Even though they're doing
use old archaic Japanese or what have you.
Exactly.
Even though they're saying they don't like him,
they're still thinking about him
in a positive way.
Even if it's in a arrogant, demeaning way as well.
Right.
Long after they've stopped actually being in physical proximity to him.
They're missing the idea of his presence and excitedly expectant about the future interactions being also that entertaining.
I wonder what he's going to come up with next.
Exactly.
Because really, when they say, play this game with us, even if they know that the person can't really figure it out,
right?
They still want to play the game, not just for the sake of pushing the person away, but seeing how long they can make them dance.
Yep.
Right? And Tamaki is like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
And the hurt of the eventual rejection, if you will, that they've kind of been imprinted with from past instances of this, not this exact game, but the stuff from their past, like with the maid, for instance. I love that it came down to, well, no. Now we're gonna kill this before it goes too far.
Right.
And he's just like, wait, no. Then they drive it even further home with the, no, we did research. Yep. We're really trying to push this in here.
If we kick this dog enough, he'll go away.
Oh my God. I loved that genuinely hurt him. It made him so angry. His mother is missing,
and he didn't have anything to say. He didn't have any retort or anything like that. They just left, and he was standing there shell shocked.
Yeah.
Tongue twister.
Yeah.
But
then a little interaction with Kyoya. A little bit of a, I don't know what their deal is. Well, they don't want to be, found out. It's like, or they don't want to be, identified. And it's like,
but they do want to be identified.
They do want to be identified. It's like, well, they don't.
There were so many little things in this episode where it's like, that's very intentionally put there. Like the fact that, like the most on the nose one is the big maze that they're drawing.
The big maze that they're drawing was one. there were a bunch of really small little ones that I thought were rather cool. Was them reading out of Carl Jung.
Yeah.
That
while drawing the maid.
Ego and unconscious,
right.
mind and stuff like that. And then there were really small little ones that are, I mean, they're not necessarily even meaning that necessarily, but things like the book having like a split word, like on the one side where it was like, obviously fashion was the word, but then it broke it in half. So if you open up the book, then
two
you
halves
can
of the
see
same whole, but
the one word.
Right, you got to split them apart to see inside, but then also the idea that it's fashion, which is usually a way to communicate individuality at a glance, like without actually interacting with people, for when you're young, and yet the fashion that they choose to take is identical, you know? So it's
and they
that
even
nice contradiction.
take each other's at times,
Sure.
to mix things up a bit.
Yep.
There's so many little things like that where you get to see them playing with the idea of, individuality. How do we get that? But also, how do we make it difficult for everyone else? One of my favorite little moments here was very much this is a brothers kind of moment here, but it was also something where, they're actually finding ways to entertain themselves in their own world, which is they play online games together and go after the noobs out there and stuff. And me and my brothers did this a lot with a game called Battle for Middle Earth back in the day. And we would basically have two computers right next to each other, and it would be like, okay, I'll play this faction, you play this faction. Let's team up 2v2 and go just go destroy people. Yeah, because Discord wasn't something that was easily accessible, so we had the ability to just talk right to each other and communicate little strategies.
Even glance at the other person's screen.
We're like, is that what you're doing? Oh, okay, cool. So I'll do this, you do that, and that it creates such a fun synergistic feeling and stuff. But there'd be times when you'd be like, but I would also like, what if we could bring a third person into this dynamic? What if we could, well, no, but
I don't know. They might rock the boat.
Yeah, they'll never be as in sync as we are.
Right. Also, one of the things that I think is a bit fun about the fact that they're playing online games. What's one of the most distinct aspects of being online?
Anonymous.
Exactly. Anonymous, or, well, in their case, your identity is not determined by the way you look. Now, it seemed there that it was more of like one of them playing an online game and the other one like looking over their shoulder, so sort of like they're both playing the same game together.
He was trying to convince the other to play this game with them, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
But that was...
Because they already had another one, but he was like, well, we'll switch to this one.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But that's an example of something where if they were playing together on both playing at the same time, different computers or whatever, right? They would, by their very nature, need to have different identifiers, right? And they could have it be their real names or aliases or whatever, right? But that would be a situation where there would be no trouble at all with people actually knowing which is which, and yet never actually having necessarily that connection, because especially with when this was made, there you wouldn't be talking to people online, it'd just be maybe playing games and maybe not even with other people, just against computers or something like that. I don't know, but yeah.
I also really want to go in on the theory that Hikaru is the one that came up with the game. Hikaru is the one that's reading the book. Like, he was right all those times there, and they would just lie and say that he was wrong to see if he would do the thing that Haruhi did.
I'm actually
right. And this is the thing of why I still think that the girl at the beginning did actually get it right. Because they started crying, because it was the joy of someone having found.
And that's why it affected them so much. And when she was like, "Oh, are you sad or something?" It was not because it was the first time someone couldn't, but it was the first time someone could, and yet they were kind of scared of basically what happened, so they pushed her away.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And all these other times that we see the reasons as to why he thinks this is Hikaru, there are times when Hikaru is basically seeking out individuality.
Right. Because we can
out some kind of understanding of what does it mean to have a self that is independent from your environment.
We can tell the difference between Hikaru and Kaoru. Not necessarily with their physical appearance, but in their temperaments, absolutely, right?
And temperaments for sure.
Like, voice actors aside and things like that,
Yes, voice actors aside.
Like, you know, Hikaru is much more hot-headed than Kaoru.
Much more, yeah.
You know, he was always the one to rip up the letters, and that's right, because he has the biggest chip on his shoulder. You know, Kaoru kind of goes along with Hikaru's lead.
But yeah, Kaoru also tries to kind of rein his brother back in at times when it's gone
maybe
too far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even at the moment here where at this moment where
they start laying into Tamaki.
Yeah. He's like, could you not try to arbitrarily make us friends? And he goes,
Let's go, Hikaru. Yeah, we've done enough, basically. Okay.
Now, I think personally at that moment that was another, like, maybe that was a switch, because they wouldn't just say out, like, oh, this is the one that it is, you know?
But yeah, that definitely seemed the
that one I'm
assertiveness
a
of it
on,
very much felt like that was actually Hikaru saying that, and he was talking to Kaoru, and hence why Kaoru maybe was like, oh, okay. Like a little bit surprised.
This is the other one that I really liked, because the egg with the two sprouts coming out of it makes a lot of sense. But the one I hope I noticed this way back when in like episode 5 or whenever it was. But all the snow like imprinted, you know, footprints and stuff like that.
Yep.
I didn't ever notice that it looked like there was only one set of footprints that left that group.
And it left the group where everyone was equally indistinguishable. No one could tell the footprints apart.
Right.
And then they leave, but they specifically make it so that it still just looks like one person left.
Yeah. But okay. All right. We get to see how they were set up to join the host club. And Tamaki's prediction came true.
Yep.
We even see a little bit of how all the other club members were kind of recruited in a, like, ooh, I'm going to bring all these amazing people together. And there's going to be something kind of, and like, that makes people get enamored of the idea of, you got Kyoya Otori.
Right. You got all the big family people, yeah.
Right. And so there's maybe something that we can deign to unravel about Tamaki's character from that, but I'm gonna like hold off on that.
I think there's a part of it that's the from the outside it could be seen as something of vanity or trying to make friends, like with like sort of schmooze to the other like wealthy powerful kids in the school. But I think the more likely thing is, especially since Tamaki was the one who made it, is that it's just we might be a lot more similar because of our similar family circumstances than we would like to admit. We might have a lot in common. We might actually get along really well together because our struggles, we'll be able to relate to them.
Yeah.
Even if they're not exactly the same. You know, Kyoya, he's not an identical twin. But, you know, he has brothers that are also really good at what they did, and he's had to sort of, his father has said, differentiate himself from them, right?
True.
So, you know, he might understand Hikaru and Kaoru's predicament a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, as for Takashi, I think this was kind of his episode as well, because we were going through all the backstories of a bunch of the club members, and I think we got it summed up of the only bit of true backstory of him joining the club that we'll ever get. Of Honey just being like, did you know, Tama-chan or whatever also invite you to the club? And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's all we'll need.
There may be a story there, but it is not for this day.
I mean, we know what it was. Is Honey was going to the club. So,
and so Tamashi's like, hey, you're invited too.
Well, right. Yeah. And you probably want to go because I got him to come.
I got him, yeah.
And I offered him cake, so it was easy.
Right, exactly. Right. He will be so manageable in here. You have no idea, right?
And he's like, absolutely. My only will is to serve Honey no Mitsukuni. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
indeed.
Absolutely.
He definitely used first name.
I love this episode. We got a lot of clarification as to why, again, we kind of guessed a lot of this, but why Haruhi, being who she was, understanding the difference between the two of them, being able to pretty quickly and without little evidence, really, without little time spent between them, figure out who they were.
And have the confidence to not put up with their bullshit when they try and lie to her about it.
But I want to bring up the idea that she might not have been able to do that had they not joined the club. Not because she wouldn't have interacted with them.
I like
but
it.
Because they chose together to open up the door. They chose together to come into this environment and say, we'll be ourselves here.
And that's true. That's true. While they do their game of which is which, their dynamic in the club is
completely different.
Yep. Right? Hikaru is the aggressive, assertive one. I talk about my feelings for you, Kaoru. Hikaru. Hikaru. Yeah, exactly, right? Mm-hmm. And then, the girls go squee.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah, they're playing into the archetype that Tamaki has set up for them, but they're also basically turning their devilishness towards each other in a playful way, rather than trying to expressly put up barriers saying no one else can get close.
They're embracing their differences. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, and awesome. It's something where they get to still be little shits, so there's fun entertainment aspect of it.
But it's in more reasonable ways.
And also they've been in the club for a bit before Haruhi comes in.
Right, because they mentioned the whole thing, and that was something that I was really glad that they cleared up, is that, well, I'm going to make an arrangement so that way you can start coming to the club a year earlier. Because they're in the same school year as Haruhi. Right. So it's like, wait, how have they been in the club this long,
How have they been here earlier? Well, Tamaki has connections. You mentioned it yourself, and he sets this up. But this was the final silly little meta thing.
Okay.
We all know how many people you need for a club.
5.
5 people, right?
That's right. Any common anime watcher
knows this. Right. Exactly. From Mob Psycho to Haruhi to Ouran High School Host Club to freaking
5.
It's always 5. Yeah. How many did they have before the twins?
4.
They only needed 1, right?
Yeah.
But Tamaki is not going to be satisfied with just 5. No, not at all. I want 6. I want both of you. Exactly. I want you both as individuals.
Exactly.
I want each of you. Yep. The idea that they're almost playing into a little bit of the idea that we just need 1 more, so let's get the twins. They're practically 1 more.
Does it matter who it is?
No, not really. No, to Tamaki, it does matter. Mm-hmm. It matters so much. He sees their little dynamic. He's like, oh my God, this is amazing. We get so many girls to go just, over this.
Right.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's over the top. I love it. I love it so much.
Just like,
Kyoya's like, money.
Yeah.
Sure thing, hubby. Absolutely. It's let's go. I just love the idea of them scheming, like absolutely. And Kyoya just anytime Tamaki comes up with the dumb but genius idea, he's like, oh my God, you're so hot right now, and he just starts scribbling notes down. But anyway, I just love that thing that it's a fun, playful way to poke it that they could have grabbed anyone because they just needed 1. They didn't need 2.
Right.
And yet he's like, no. I want 2. I want these 2 specifically.
Yep.
So just another cool little thing there. But I really feel like this episode, you really could go in depth in it because of how well it brings up all the previous stuff we have with the twins that establish their character.
Now, given that we got this episode, I can only imagine that either next episode is going to be a wonderful Tamaki focus because of that whole bit about him being the illegitimate son of the superintendent.
I really do feel like we're just getting as close as possible that we can without actually getting the Tamaki episode.
Right, and as a result of that, I think we're going to push that back a little bit farther. and as a result
of
that,
it's Kyoya time now.
No. Well, whatever it is, this episode was hella serious.
Yes.
Uncharacteristically so for Ouran.
True.
So I get the feeling next episode is going to be compensated. Is going to compensate for that with a ridiculous amount of comedy. Could be wrong.
I'm
wrong.
I'm going to disagree.
The show doesn't have to. We could totally go serious all the way through to the end.
Think about it formulaically. We got a honey-focused episode really recently.
Yes.
That's a revisiting of a previous plot kind of thing.
Okay. So then
we have Lobelia, which is kind of a refocus on Haruhi's kind of family a little bit.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, there was the stuff with Haruhi's mom, and then the stuff with Haruhi's dad.
And we did
and then
get
Haruhi
the
herself.
Kyoya revisit when they left him at the mall.
Yes, Kyoya has been revisited recently as well, but that was also one of the first, like, kind of real Kyoya episodes. So I feel like we're actually due for Tamaki, Kyoya, and if they want to do a Takashi-focused episode, which they don't have to, it doesn't make sense.
It's a package deal with honey, you know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that it's Kyoya or Tamaki next. And it's really just... It really doesn't make sense to do anyone after Tamaki, because Tamaki is, of course, the end-all, be-all.
Maybe Haruhi.
Well, right. Haruhi is not one of the OG club members.
Right,
so
exactly.
She's not one of the boys, you know. Even though she is the straightest straight man in this whole maddening brigade of chaos.
Trying to clarify that whole statement of whether or not she is or isn't one of the boys is a very complicated endeavor. But
yes, exactly. Are any of us one of the boys? You know, how does one become one of the boys?
That's
Jacob?
what Takashi muses about when he's alone.
That's what Kyoya's like reading, like the Dazai Otsuma, which is hilarious because we just started Bungo Stray Dogs.
So now we actually
we have this.
We don't really know what the book's about, really.
No, but it was titled. It was the title of Dazai's power.
No longer human.
No longer human. That's right. That's right. So now I have to look it up now and see.
Right. Given the fact that that's just straight up like a name of their work, and probably given that it's the one for Bungo, it's probably like the most popular, like the most iconic.
Right.
That actually makes me really curious to read it
what
if
is
I
the
ever learn
content of it?
Japanese, because that sounds like an awesome book.
Well, no, if it's that popular, dude, there might just be
a really good
translation of it out there, where it's like it's not actually a true translation. It might be like Cliff Notes with like.
There would be certain things that would be lost in translation, but either way, that sounds really interesting. But
and no longer human as just a phrase does feel like someone who has lost a sense of individuality, maybe. You know, someone who has basically been taken through life's sufferings and struggles to the point where they
feel
lose
separate
that.
from society.
Yes, exactly.
From the group of people that call themselves humans. Yeah.
And hey, what does that say maybe about Kyoya?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But, y'all, so many more things we could analyze, but we're going to call it here. Thank you all so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.